Howdy, Flowbart here, and welcome. Today's delay getting started was brought to you by Burger King and McDonald's. If you work for either of these two locations or any fast food restaurant in general, you may think that your job sucks. It doesn't. It's a job. Be thankful you have one. That being said, if you are a manager at one of these facilities, it is your job to make sure that you maintain proper inventory levels so that you don't run out of things. And also maintaining a proper maintenance schedule, so if you do have a piece of equipment that is vital to your service, like a blender for making a damn caramel frappe that I wanted, yeah, I go to the first location, oh, we're out. So order more shit. Secondly, I drive down the street from that Burger King to a McDonald's. Well, their debit card machine was broken. Who the hell carries cash? Okay, whatever. I had cash in hand, so whatever. Want to get my caramel frappe? Well, guess what? Their blender was broken, or as they put it, their machine. It's a blender. You can say it's a blender. We know it's a blender. We're not stupid. At least I'm not. So yeah, I had to go to a third restaurant, to another Burger King, where they actually had stuff in stock and was able to use my debit card, and everything was lovely. Thank you. Okay, so off of my soapbox, and let's get into what we're supposed to be doing here. All right. So I actually have a list of a couple things that I would like to do, and mostly that involves actually having the project up and running. And this is the tutorial project that we created specifically for this series, or I did at least, and offer for you guys to download in the first video. I want to welcome everybody that's watching this live, and if you're watching this later, feel free to go back to video 1, get the download, so you can follow along. Alright, a couple things that I want to do is, first thing that I see, we loaded up into Mesh Map. Okay. Well, we've created other maps since then, so we have level 1, 2, 3, 4, main menu map, and mesh map. Let's go ahead and change it so that when we first load up, we go to our main menu map, which is the one we created here. So go to Edit, and we'll go to Project Settings, and then Maps and Modes, and let's change it from Mesh Map over to Main Menu Map, so that it'll go to that when we first load up. And the default game mode is going to be main menu game mode, because that's what goes into this particular map here. So that being done, now anytime we come into it, we're going to come up to this right here. And to recap from where we were from last week, I'm going to go ahead and play it in a standalone game. And what happens is it will actually bring up and load just like it would be in a standalone version of the game, but in a window. We have our animated character here, a play button and an exit button. Very, very simple, very, very plain. What we may do is add a little bit of music in, but for now, we hit our play game button. We can choose between levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. We can leave that in, we can take that out, whatever, doesn't matter. We're just trying to show some other functionality. And then when we go to level 1, we can run around and, well, we don't have much there. So at least we have maps. So what I would like to do on this one is I'm going to go ahead and move this level 1 block, and I'm going to move the player and everything to over here. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a system, show you how to create, well, we just have a flat terrain. So yeah, to actually prevent us from doing that and falling off the edge. So let's go back to our main menu and exit. So, let's go to level 1, and I want to grab my box brush and my text render, and let's grab our player start. Let's grab all 3 of those, and I'm just going to slide them back over to here, and you know, that's good enough. So now when we come into the game, this is where we're going to start off at, and I'm going to go back and do selected viewport. So now when we come into our game, we can see, hey, we're in level 1. But what I want to do is we'll create a nice little simple system. Walk over here to the end of the map, And then when we do, we'll come to a teleport system that will carry us from map 1 to map 2, and then from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and then if I decide that I'm on map 2 and I want to go back to map 1, what I'll do is we can put another teleport pad here, and we can use it to travel between maps. Very simple. You may find a use for it, you may not, but it's a little simple system we can work with. So we move this back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to right there. That's the 8th one. So I'm going to go ahead and save all, and sorry, I was hearing a noise in the room here. And let's go ahead and grab our player start, box brush, text render. Yeah, apparently a moth or something got in when I had the door open earlier, so he's found his way into a plastic bag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's put it to there. So we have it very similar on each one. Save all. Quickly go into level 3. Same thing. We'll grab our player start. I'm left clicking on it. Control left click, so that I can pick out the ones that I want. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the importance of not putting textures down on your map until you're actually done putting other stuff on the map. That way, if you want to build a level of consistency, you have these blocks which you can use for measuring. So that's pretty cool. Alright, one more and we're done with that part of it. Player start, box brush, text render, and slide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right there, and we're good. Alright, so we'll go ahead and we'll hit save all. Save selected. Go back to level 1, because this is where we're going to be. And we're going to click onto there. Now, we need to make a simple teleport system. So let's go to our assets folder. What we're missing is a new folder called Blueprints. Which I'm sure I thought I had that in here. So in there, we're going to create a blueprint class, and we're going to do an actor teleport to 2. Actually, we're going to do this to 1. And then what I'll do is I'll copy it and just change the name. So we'll come in here and we're going to tell this one to be our teleport to level 2. We'll simply grab a cube. We're going to size it 2 by 2 by 0.1. Give us a nice little flat pad we can stand on. And I'm going to bring it up by 5, which will put it directly on the ground. We're going to add a component, which is a box collision. And we're going to size this to 1.5 by 1.5 by 2. Come on, you pain in the butt. 1.5 by 1.5 by 2. Do it. Because it didn't do it the way I should have done it, I click on the cube, make sure I'm on the cube, and do our box collision there, and it'll be sized based on that. So now if we do our 1.5, not by 5, you retard, 1.5 by 5. Yeah, I am just not getting those fingers to cooperate with me. So all we need is just to have it stick up a little bit, and that's lovely. And we'll go ahead and compile, save, and then we can get rid of all this stuff here. Select our box collision, right click, add event, add on component begin overlap. And then from there, since we haven't changed our player character name, we're still using the cast to third person character. We brought that off of the actor tab, and it auto connects that to here with the executable pins. So from there, we just want to know that this is what's overlapping it. So if we have NPC running around and they walk over it, it's going to do nothing to them. And from there, all we have to do, and this is a harsh, easy way to do it, but we want to open the level, and let's go ahead and confirm our level names, which I know what they are, but let's go ahead and Control C, and now I can Control V, and there we go. And this is all that it needs to do, is to make it load level 1, to take us from level 1 to level 2. So now go back to our blueprints folder. We don't need it in this map, but we're going to right click on it and we're going to select duplicate. And thankfully, because of the way that I set up the name, it changed a 1 to a 2 automatically. So now I can just double click, open it up, come in here, change the map name, compile, and save, and close. And I can right click on that and duplicate, and hey, look, it made it to number 3. So I opened that one and compile and save, and then we'll do one more for 4, the number 4. You know what I'm saying. You can see Control W, so if you left click on it and Control W, it'll go ahead and create a copy that way. So then all I got to do is just open that one, click on my level, right arrow, backspace, 4, and done. And now we have teleports, or a way to travel us from map 1 to map 2 to map 3 to map 4. So what we're going to want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to go to map 2. So I'm going to put it in here, and we can do it like this to make sure we're on the same line here. So now we walk across the map, we step on this platform, it's going to take us to map 2. So now we can save all, save selected. Let's go back to our map and let's go to level 2. Well, since we're going to start here, we're going to go ahead and put a blueprint down for teleport to 1. And it looks pretty good there. So now if we turn around and hit that one right there, see, one thing that I'd like to do to make it a little bit more visible to what teleport is actually going to be, but we're going to go ahead and do the placement of these first. Get them in the map, and I'll make one more change to it, and it's a cosmetic thing. How do we know which teleporter goes to where? Well, we can fix that problem. And of course, our base pad is probably not the best way to go. So this will carry us back to 1. The one we just placed will carry us back to carry us to the next map, which is 3. Wow, words. So that was map 2. So let's go to map 3. And here in 3, we need to teleport to 2. So we can go back a map. And then we can go to teleport to 4. Very simple, so we can just progress through our missions this way. So as we're playing our game and we want to be able to, and this is a single player game, so we want our character to leave this map and go to the next map. These are small maps. I'm not worried about actually setting up the actual game yet. We're just wanting to set up some functionality. So we'll save all, save selected, go to map number 4, and we can even do it to where if we complete level 4, it'll take us back to the menu, but we won't worry about that just yet. So we're in 4. We want to be able to move back a level, so we can do that. We can set up to there. So I'm going to save all. I'm going to go back to map 1 just because. Now, when we're in map 1 and we walk over here to the end, we want to teleport to map 2. So we want some way of being able to know what's what here. And we probably should have done this ahead of time. But let's go to our viewport, and I want to go ahead and add a component of a text render. And I'm just going to put a huge number on it. So this is teleport to 1. So our text render, we're going to put the number 1. And then I'll let you go ahead and move the text render up. Let's move it up to about 150. So it should be right in front of our faces. And let's make it bigger. Let's go to our font and world size. Let's set this to 100. That should be big enough, right? And then we want to kind of center it on the map, or at least on our pad here. So yeah, that looks about right. Again, you can fine tune it to see how you want it to be. Then we're going to add another component. Let's add rotating movement. Let's just make it even more interesting. And I'm going to leave the speed alone, but you can adjust this 180 up and down, and it'll change rotation this way. You can experiment with the X and the Y, and it'll rotate in different directions. I've used these for like spinning saw blades and things like that. So hit compile and save, and we're going to close that. And let's actually go ahead and don't want to delete them because then it would remove them from the map. So we'll just add a component of our text render, and then add in a component of our rotating movement and our text render in our viewport. We know that we had it set at a Z height of 150. We know that we had text is going to be the number 2, and our world size was 100. And we'll just quickly move it to right there, which should be centered up pretty good. We know that now we can do 20 here and 150 there, and that'll speed up the process. So compile and save, close that one, go to 3, add component, text render, add component, rotating, go back to our text render, and this was 20, 150. Our text we're going to use is 3, and our world size is 100. And if we want to, we can look at it in the viewport, but we know we're going to be right. Compile and save, and final one, we want a text render, and we want a rotating movement. And our text 20, 150. Text is 4, world size 100, and compile and save. And what did that do for us? So now let's go into map 1 and let's play. We'll walk over here and let's take a look at it. Okay, well, interesting. Could have changed the color, something maybe on it, but whatever. Or actually put the number directly on the pad itself so when you see it. But you can do it, install it however you want. But we actually walk on it. It will now carry us to level 2. And there we have our pad to go back to level 1. We can come over here. And for the sake of testing, I could have just left them where they were, but whatever. Number 3, so we go to that, and boom, we're in level 3. So now if we come over here, we'll test this final one, which will take us to 4. But then what we'll do is we'll go back through and head back to 1. So this carries us to here, this carries us to 3, this carries us to 2, and this carries us back to 1, and there's nothing here. So, cool. Alright, so that's functional. Is it useful? Yes and no. It's a good way if you're playing a game. If the player reaches a checkpoint, this is how you can get them from this map to the next map. You can set up a lot of other functionality in between there, and difficulty for them reaching it, make it more and more difficult with obstacles and so forth. That's all part of you figuring out what your actual gameplay is going to be. The next thing that I want to go ahead and address, let's go back to save all, even though I didn't save anything or change anything, our main menu map. And I noticed that the background sound was a little bit loud, and let's go ahead and add some music while we're at it. So if we look at our blueprints, open level blueprint, and we're having it play sound at location and ensuring that we're in game mode. So let's look at our volume multiplier, And all I did was I clicked on this little arrow right here. I'm going to change my volume multiplier from 1, which is 100%, down to 0.5. And we'll go ahead and compile and save. And then I'm going to Control C and Control V. I'm going to add another play sound at location into here. And I'm going to leave that 0.5 in there. And we're going to change it from our starter background. And this is all stuff that came in with the, this is the starter background cue that we're using. We want to add some music in, so let's use the starter music cue. And let's compile and save. And let's take a listen to that. So now we've quieted down all that really noisy background, like birds chirping and stuff. And we've added in some music that's quiet and not overwhelming. Lovely, not bad. Alright, so we can go ahead and hit exit. And we're out of here. So we know that works. Alright, let's look at the next item on the list. That was a quick one. We've changed our editor default to our main menu map and our main menu game mode. We have changed our main menu music and sound. We have our teleport system. Let's get into a player HUD and adding health and the ability for us to take damage. So I'm going to go ahead and head back to level 1. And the first thing we want to do is let's look at our character. So that's going to actually be in our characters tab. So you open that one up and blueprints. And we have two things here, our BP render tune, which we're not going to edit, and our third person character, which we are going to edit. So we go into our third person character. First off, this is our escape menu functionality. Let's highlight all of that. Hit the C key, which will give us our comment box, and we'll call this escape menu. And I'm just going to hit tab, and then I'm going to change the color to red, blood red. And I'm actually going to save this color. So once I pick a color that I like, I'm going to click on it here and drag up here. And now I've saved that solid red color that I can use for other things. So you can do that also, like for your movement input if you want it to be green. Let's give it a nice green color. If you want, you can go ahead and save that one as well. So now, movement related stuff, if you look at it, then all you do is you click on it, click on the color comment color, you're pre-saved, and okay. So now we know that if we see anything green, that's our go stuff, our doing stuff. So if we look at our red, this is, hey, this is, you know, something that's important for us to look at, and this is our escape menu. So for now, I'm going to grab our escape menu, and I'm just going to drag it over here out of the way so it looks lovely. We are going to create our first new variable. We have these two variables right here. I want to get them out of just this root. So I'm going to click on this first one, which I'm pretty sure we're probably not even using these. But we're going to change these to, let's give it a name of stuff. I don't know what to call it just yet, so we'll just call it stuff. And then I'm going to grab this drop down box, change that to stuff. And now I can minimize that. We don't see that every time. So we want to create our first variable now, which is going to be our health. Okay. We want to go ahead and change the variable type to a float. And whether it's necessary or not, I'm going to do instance editable and expose on spawn and whatever. And we're going to replicate it, even though we're only doing single player. I just get in the habit of replicating my health. Compile and save. And then now you change your default value to 100 for your health. So you know your health is going to be 100 is your max health. You know what that is. It's 100. You know, it's simple and easy. So compile and save. And we're good. We have health for right now. So let's go ahead and close our third person character. And we need to create a heads-up display so that when we come into our map, we actually can see what our health looks like, and we know that we're alive or we're about to die. And if we're about to die, we need to get some first aid, right? So let's go ahead and create a player HUD. we need something to be visible. So let's go into our interface folder, and let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. I'm going to create a new folder called widgets. And I'm going to move the main menu and escape menu into the widgets folder. And now we're going to go ahead and right click inside here, user interface, widget blueprint, player underscore HUD. Now we're not creating a new HUD class. We're just going to use a widget, and that's more than enough. This is your screen. So if you imagine this big blue border right now is what the player is seeing on their screen. It's the default size of the 1920 by 1080. But this is your screen. This is what your player is going to be viewing. So I want to have a basic HUD system with our health right here. So to make it visible and stand out so it's not hidden too much, I'm going to grab an image, and I want to go ahead and size that to, I don't know, let's drag it around, see what looks about right. 300 seems about right, and we don't need it that big because all we're going to put in here is our player health bar. And let's try that. So we'll try it at 30. That looks good. So we're going to go ahead and anchor it to the bottom right, and we want to do negative 320 by negative 50. That's going to give us even spacing from the bottom right hand corner, and we don't want it to be white. That's a little bit gaudy. So I'm going to select my tint. I'm going to change my color to black, and then I'm going to change my opacity, which is the A or the alpha, and we're going to change that to 0.5. So you can still kind of see through it, but it's dark enough that it'll contrast well. And then we're going to grab a progress bar, and grab that progress bar, drop it in here, and we're going to want to size that progress bar because it's absolutely not going to fit. So let's try it at 240 by 30. We actually sized this to 30, so let's try this one at 20. So now when we look at it, this should fit nicely in here, and we have a little bit of room to put in. If we wanted to, we could actually put in the word health next to it, but let's go ahead and expand it out. I think 280 should fill it out nicely. So that's how it should look. Let's actually try it at 290. We just want it to kind of fit this bar neatly. And if it doesn't snap where you want it, just turn off your snapping. And now you can actually just drag it around, and you can eyeball it, or you can use that horrible stuff called mathematics and get it exactly correct. And then I'm going to go ahead and anchor it to the bottom right. So now we have a little bit of a black border around it, and then we have a progress bar. But it doesn't show anything. Our fill color and opacity, well, it's blue, which we need to change that because health isn't blue, right? So percent, we'll grab this and we'll slide this across. Now we can see what our progress bar is going to look like whenever it's going to and from. Let's go ahead and change our color, our fill color and opacity. I'm going to use that red color that we already had selected, and lovely. Now, here's how we need to get our health from our player. Click on bind, create binding, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to leave it at this name. So I'm going to click on it here and hit F, change your name. I don't want to, oh, get percent, excuse me. And I want to change the name to health bar info. So we know that this is our health bar info. So I'm just going to drag these apart, make a little bit of room. I don't need that much room, but we can neaten it up as we go. We want to cast to third person character, and we want to get player character. So now I can start cleaning that up a little bit. As our third person character, we want to get our health. Now, we set our health to 100 is our maximum or as our default. By doing it this way, if you set your max health, then you can set it to never go beyond your max health. But what if you want to create a supercharge buff later that gives you double your normal health? Well, you can't do that if you have a max health. So you know what your health is. It's 100. That's what your max is going to be set at. But if I just toss this over here, this float, and connect these two pins together, it's going to read that off of a different level. This is looking for a percentage for your health bar. So what you need to do is drag off from your health, and you want to do float divided by float, and we're going to put 100 in this box right here, and then connect those two together. This is going to let us do a check on our health on a scale up to 100. So if I compile and save, if I look at my designer, it's showing this is what it should look like when we go in there, is that. But if our health is full, that bar should be full all the way across. So this is what our screen is going to look like. We just have the health bar in the bottom right. So let's make sure that's good. We're going to close that. Now we need that to work, because we hit play now. Just because we created a widget doesn't mean that it's going to work. So we need functionality. So we go back to our character. And now we know that we have our health there. So let's come down here and find a nice clean spot and event begin play. And from the event begin play, what we want to do is we want to create a widget. And the widget that we want to use for our class is our player HUD. And for owning player, we want to get player controller. So now I'm going to put it right here, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do this to make this a little bit nicer, to keep this clean, because we may have to put other things under the event begin play. So we've said okay, create the widget, but now we need to add it to our viewport. So add to viewport. Slap that puppy dog right there. Well, that's it. We just wanted to show up there. So I'm actually going to grab these items right here, these three. It's all we needed to do was get our player controller, tell our controller to actually create our widget, and add it to our viewport. Now what I want to do is I'm going to, with all three of them selected, I'm going to right click and collapse nodes. And we're going to call this player HUD, and it just compacted it all down into that little tiny box. But now we need to go into it so that we can actually see what was in there, but we want to see we have nothing on the output. So if we need to connect anything later, all we can do is drag onto here to this, and it adds an executable to that, and then compile, save, click back on your event graph, and now we can add more things in after that point if we need to. So we now have some functionality of showing our health. So now if we hit play, you see in the bottom right hand corner we actually have our little tiny HUD. Could have made it bigger if we wanted to, whatever, but it has a little bit of a border to it, and you can see. So if we decide we want to add hunger and thirst, we can expand that black bar up and add two more sliders in there, so we can, or progress bars, so we can see what we're doing. We'll see what our health and hunger is. If you want to add your coins, your credits, or a mini map, or anything like that, can all be added in, and you can create fancy boxes and stuff for them to go into. Again, we'll worry about functionality first and pretty later. Okay, how do we know that that's working correctly? Well, it shows we have 100% health. It's solid. So we need to cause a little bit of damage. So right here behind this, I want to create a pain pad. So if we step on this, it's going to hurt us. So we'll come back over here and go to our assets, and we want to go to blueprints. Now we've got all these right here. I'm actually going to create a new one here. Right click, blueprint class, actor, and we're going to call this our pain underscore pad. I'm going to go into it, and like we did before on the other two, we're going to add a cube, and we're going to call this our pain pad. And then we're going to add another component, which is our box collision, which is going to be our pain causer. We'll call them whatever you want. So our pain pad box, we're going to change that to 2 by 2 by 0.1. It's like we did before. We're going to set our height, Z height, to 5. We're going to change our pain causer box to 1.5 by 1.5 by 5, and then scale it up to right there, and that's good. Lovely. Compile, save, event graph, delete all this stuff. Boom, we don't need you. Gone. Our pain causer, left click and then right click, add event, on component begin overlap. And from here, other actor, we want to go to cast to third person character. Make it pretty. And we want to get world location, and we're going to get that off of our mesh, and we're going to use that here in just a minute. But we also want to get health. We want to set health, and I'm going to drag these two out of the way for just a minute. We're going to work with these first. We are going to get a reference to our health. We are going to do, for now, we're going to do float minus float. And we're going to do by 10. So we're going to do 10 points of damage every time we step on this pain pad. Okay, so now we're going to set our health to health minus 10. Connect that up, and we're lovely. And so it's not boring. We've got to have some interesting stuff here. Let's go ahead and put that here. And we have our get world location. Now we want to spawn emitter at location. We'll use this location value. And we're going to use the explosion, just because it's got to be awesome, right? And then we've got to have some sound to it. So play sound at location. We use the same location, drag it over here, use our sound, explosion cue, and that's lovely. So now, in theory, this should work. Compile and save. So again, a recap. On component, begin overlap from the box collision. Cast to our third person character. Get a reference to our health. We're going to do a float minus float of 10. And then set that to our health. So when we walk on this, it's going to get our health and subtract 10 from it. It doesn't matter how many times we do it, but it'll do it. So then we'll get a reference to where our mesh is located in the world, and we'll tell it to play an explosion there and a sound cue there. Now if we wanted to, we could actually delete this. Instead of the mesh location, let's actually get the pain pad location and drag that into here. And now we're going to actually use the location from where that pad is located instead of where our player is located. So let's compile and save. And we're just going to grab this pain pad and throw it right here behind the our little starter box that tells us what map we're on. Yes, I have lots of OCDs that everything has to be in just the right spot. So now if we hit play, hey look, we're at level 1. We can jump on this cube. Well, it just took 10 off our health, and it made the explosion and the noise. You can see our health bar is going down each time I do it. Alright, so we see what our health is now dipping below 0. There's nothing we can do about that just yet, but we will. A little extra something right here. Let's go back to our widget interface and to our player HUD. And never done this before, but we're making really good time on what we're doing for this episode and for the list of things that I've had. I'm actually going to put another little box right here, and I'm going to put the numbers 100, and that's going to let us see a visible counter of what our health is actually doing. And then we'll progress on to making a health pickup so we can improve our health and gain health back. So just for the giggles of it, I'm going to grab an image like we did before, and I'm not even going to bother resizing it. I'm just going to leave it the way it is, and we're going to anchor it to the bottom right. We're going to set the color on our tint to black with 0.5 on the alpha, and let's go ahead and grab text. Big old text block, and we're going to change the text to read 100. We're going to change the size of it to just a little bit bigger than we need. We're going to anchor it to the right. We're going to drag it over here and put it in this section inside there and anchor it to the bottom right. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and click on our text. We want to go ahead and where the text is listed right there, we're going to do a binding, create binding, and we're going to do the same thing we did before, and we're going to create a text value this time. So we're going to get our health by number. We're going to cheat, go into our health bar info. We're going to grab these first three, or Control C, Control V, so we can cheat a little bit and speed up time. We'll connect that in here, make that look pretty, connect that to there, and now we can grab our float here and connect it directly to our pinky, and it's going to create this node to text float automatically for us. So now if we hit compile and save and exit and play, now we can see that we have 100 health. Oh, now we have 90. Now we have 80, and now we have 70. So we can actually see what our health numbers are. So if we actually go down below, which I can just jump, we have 0 health. We should technically be dead now, so I'm going to jump one more time, and we have -10, -20. So we can actually trigger our health when we hit 0 for us to die. We don't currently have a death animation yet or anything for that. We'll get into that for another video. Let's go ahead and create a health pickup system so that we can actually go ahead and see what it is. And I'm going to do this a little bit different than normal. I'll show you the basic way and then the cool way of doing these. So in our blueprint, we need to create a brand sloppy new thing here. But let's go ahead and first let's change our map, because we're going to make our own static mesh. Go to our mesh map, save selected. Now in our mesh map, we're going to grab a, it don't matter. I'm going to grab a cube, and I'm going to go ahead and 0, 0, 0. So we know in the center of the map, we're going to change our dimensions a little bit. Let's try actually 0.5, and then our Z height of 0.5. Let's make it smaller. 0.2 by 0.2 on our height. So that's a nice little bar right here. Lovely. So now let's Control C and Control V, and then let's rotate it 90 degrees. So now we have a little plus symbol. So we'll click off of it so we can see what we have here. And why is our player start 0 and 0, 0? Get out of there. Seems to be quit being a pain in the ass. Get it away. So now we have our plus here for our health, which is 2 pieces right here. We can actually look and see if we have anything in our materials to change the color a little bit. We don't have a red color, which would be nice, but let's be different. Let's go ahead and make it gold, and there we go. So we have this nice little gold bar that we can now With both of them selected, let's go ahead and right click and convert actors to static mesh. We're going to call this our cross. And actually, let's go ahead and SM underscore so we know that it's a static mesh. We're going to put this in our assets folder, mesh folder, click OK. And now we can delete these two. We don't need them in here. Now let's go ahead and look at our mesh folder. We now have, I told it to go to audio mesh. Right here, static mesh of our cross. Isn't it lovely? Alright, who cares? Let's go ahead and make no collisions for it whatsoever. It's fine the way that it is. So let's go ahead and save all. We don't want it to have a collision. We want to be able to walk through it for right now. So we're going to go to blueprints, and we're going to go ahead and create a new blueprint class. We're going to select actor and med kit. And let's go ahead and put BP underscore, which we haven't been doing. Go ahead and open that up, and then let's make sure that it's tabbed over here to the side. Go back to our mesh. Let's grab a left click on our SM underscore cross. Now add a component, and when we select a static mesh, it's already selected. So bang, it's already there. So now we want to move it up a little bit. This is going to be big. We can scale it here if we want to. So we can do 0.5 by 0.5 by 0.5 and resize it. We want it to be at an altitude of about 100 above. Actually, let's put it at 50. So it's just right at about knee height. And then let's go ahead and add in a rotating, because it's got to be cool, right? Rotating movement, and compile and save. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Let's look at our blueprint. Let's grab that med kit. Let's throw it in here. Let's hit play. So now we have a rotating med kit that we can just walk through, and we'll be able to pick it up here in just a second. We want to add some other functionality to it as well. So what if we added in a text render? Let's actually do that later. We'll do a custom one later, because we've got about 10 minutes left on this video. I want to keep it at the hour mark. So let's go ahead and add in our one last component, which is a box collision. And let's actually go ahead and move that up so that it's flush with the ground level. And we can actually change the Z value of it to 2 if we want. Let's do it at 1.5. So it just covers it. So when we see it, as long as we get close enough to collide with that box, we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and compile and save. We're going to do this in a nice way. Right click on our box on component begin overlap, just like we did before, and we want to make sure we see something here. No, can't do it. Cast to third person character off of our other actor. Let's go ahead and get health. And we're going to do this a little bit better, but we're not going to get too carried away with it yet. We'll do an advanced medkit pickup where we can actually set a value that we can edit when we place it into the map. That'll be cool, right? So what we want to do is we want to get a reference to our health, and then we want to do float. So if we want to check to see if our health is less than 100. Because if we don't need it, then we're not going to be able to pick it up. That's what we want to happen. Is if I'm already at 100, I don't need to pick up a med kit. So why do I need to have it keep working every time I run over it if it's not going to improve our health? So we want to check to see if it's less than 100. And then let's go ahead and, with nothing selected, hold down B and left click, and it gives us a branch node. So we're going to ask that branch. And a branch node, if you don't know what a branch node is, get used to it. You're going to use about 8 billion of them. Branch is a question, and it's asking a yes or no answer. And a Boolean is a yes or no answer. So the red is going to be our Boolean, and it's telling us if it is this, then do this. If it's not, do that. So off of the true, if our health is less than 100, then we want to, from our, let's see, health plus, or float plus float, and we want our med kit to give us 20 health. Every time we pick up a med kit, we're going to get 20 health. And then we need to go ahead and set health to increase that number right there. So our health plus 20 is what we're going to now set our health to. But here's the problem. We don't want to go over 100. So to prevent that, what we want to do is grab another reference from our health, or we can just grab a new one from our blue pin. Get health. Doesn't matter. We can keep dragging off the same one if we want. So we want to get a reference to our health, and we want to ask, and it's a float, so float is our health greater than or equal to 100. And again, we want a branch node, so we want to ask, is our health greater than 100 or at 100? Which actually, let's do it directly at our float, asking if our float is greater than, if it's greater than 100, then we want to then set our health to 100. We don't ever want to go over 100 on our health for right now with these regular med kits. So let's go ahead and set health and connect that pin here to true and change this to 100. So essentially what we're doing here now, to go back through, we step on the, or walk across the med kit. It's going to get from our third person character our health. It's going to check to see if we're less than 100. If we are less than 100, then it allows us to gain 20 health. But if it puts us at over 100, it's just going to set our health to 100 and have that vicious cycle to prevent us from being able to steal it. So now if I do this, it's not going to do anything. So let's go ahead and let's dump it from this map. We're going to save. We're going to go into our map 1 where we're actually had our pain pad set up. And I am going to go back to our blueprints, and I'm going to throw a med kit up here. And yes, it matters that it's not centered. Only matters to me, though. And I'm going to throw one here, and we'll set it to 0. Control C, Control V, and let's totally ignore the fact that I hit Control C and Control V. So yeah, let's add in another one, and one more just for the heck of it. Let's hit play. So now, yay, we have our floating health kit. There's no collision, so it doesn't interfere with our player any. We don't need it, so we're not going to be able to take it. So now we have, oh no, we're down to 90. So we grab this, and it maxes out at 100. It won't let us go past there, and it won't let us take any more until we need it. So you don't have a thief running around stealing all the med kits. So let's actually need it a little bit here. So we're at 60, and it's not taking that one. It's not taking them off of the map. So what we need to do now is go back into our med kit and add in one more thing. Destroy actor. So now, after we run over it, we want it to go away. And we don't have a sound for it, so Gotta have a sound for everything. I'm a total nerd. I gotta have my sounds. I don't have any sounds that I want to use. So, and all these are loops, and I don't want loops. So yeah, if you wanted to play a sound after you do that, you could also, before Destroy Actor, have it play sound at location and get a sound location. We'll add some sounds in the next video. So now, if we try to walk over it, we can't take it. Let's go ahead and damage ourselves a little bit here. Yay, we're damaged in more ways than one. And now when we walk over it, it's not 100%, but it's supposed to. There we go. All right, so there we go. We just created a health pickup system that will sit there and rotate and only let us pick it up if we need it. All right. So, was there anything else that I missed from my list? Let's glance one more time at my quick list. We've got our damage pad. We have our health and health pickup. We got our player HUD. Our teleport system carries from map to map. And one thing I want to cover while we have about 4 minutes left on this video is map design. And some we're going to cover a lot more as we go. But using this simple system of having it teleport us from one map to the next. It's a very, very simple system. At the end of map 4, we can tell it that that's the end of game and we need to go back to our main menu or go to a result window or whatever else. So we can have it end game at level 4. By having it set up this way, we can progress from level to level to level. We can do whatever we want from there. Our main menu lets us select each map individually, that kind of stuff. Functionality of your map is just as important as the functionality of your menu system or everything. Think about what you want your player to be able to do. And, you know, this is very simple. We start here, we walk across to the end of the map, and we can see the end is in sight. And we could just walk over there and step on that, and we're done with this level. So if you think about it, for a simple single-player system, you could turn this into a jumper, you could turn it into a shooter, you can do all kinds of stuff. What we're going to do to keep it simple on the theme on this one probably is create a maze system to where the player has to find their way through the maze to get to the end. And when they get to the end, they can... hurrah, they can go to the next level. We could actually set up some more functionality of the teleport systems. So when you come over here and, hey, look, awesome, I can run all the way across the map. I get to the end. Well, I can see that it's the end. We can add some more effects to it, like a fire glowing or smoke or whatever else. Because it's kind of cool that it rotates, but it's very plain and very simple. Whenever you actually step on it, we can create a delay, do a series of events, and there you go. It's awesome. Then next thing you know, you're traveling to the next map, and you can actually have a travel map in between if you want. So right now in the editor, it's just going to go bam, and then you're there. So there's so many things that we can do to doo-doo. He said doo-doo. Sorry, Beavis and Butthead reference. Anyway, so there's so many things left to do in order to keep creating some functionality. We're going to make level 1 to be a maze where we walk through, and we'll start adding in some things that could potentially harm the character in the next video. Maybe we can set up a death system and a respawn system. We'll look into those. But for now, we're at the 1 hour mark. I want to thank everybody for watching. And stay tuned the next episode. So far, unless you guys request more, these are Tuesdays and Thursdays, and look forward to getting the next one out. And actually, we'll kind of continue it on if you guys want on Sundays. So as part of the Sunday services with Beef Bar, we can make that our third day. So we'll have Sunday, which is the beginning of the week. So we'll say Sunday, Tuesday and Thursday will be our work on this project days. Alright, thanks guys for watching. If you got any questions, head over to my Discord channel, put them in the question and answers section, and I will try to get to them as quickly as I possibly can. Please do not put questions about game-related stuff and creating games and whatnot in the public lobby. Carry on general conversations are fine, but please don't ask questions in the public lobby room. That's just for people just socialize and hang out and stuff. Serious questions will not get answered there. They only get answered if they're in the correct room of questions and answers. Thank you for watching, guys, and we'll see you guys on the next video, which will be, since today is Thursday, we'll see you on Sunday. Have a good one and keep creating things and being awesome.